Our agenda for today's presentation is to explain regarding the definition of financial equity, financial liability, hybrid financial instrument, problems arise, and also approaches used by the standard setter. Let's go!
First and foremost, the definition of financial equity is the residual interest in the asset of the entity after deducting all of its liability. Next is definition of financial liability. Financial liability is any liability that is a contractual obligation to deliver cash or another financial asset to another entity or to exchange financial asset or financial liability with another entity under conditions that are potentially unfavorable to the entity. The next definition is hybrid financial instrument. Hybrid financial instrument is a generic term to describe a security that contains element of debt and equity securities and can therefore include an embedded derivative.
Hi, I'm Aisyah. There are 6 problems arise related to the issue discussed in the article. I will tell about 3 of the 6 problems arise in an article given. Problems that I get from this article is that in reality, issues may arise in recognizing or valuing the components, as well as determining how to handle an exceptional redemption premium. Next, the problems that classify as a financial liability is the critical feature in differentiating a financial liability from an equity instrument is the contractual obligation of the issuer of the financial instrument to deliver cash or another financial instrument to the holder. Other than that, IAS 32 requires the financial instrument to be classified based on substance over form. While they may be commonly the same, there are cases where items are equity in legal form but liabilities in substance. For example, some preference shares and units in open-ended funds or unit trusts such as unit issued by a limited life trust.
The fourth problem is the application of IAS 32 result in inconsistent in some situation or provide information that was not relevant or understandable. The next problem is there is a principle for debt equity classification in IAS 32. However, the application of the principle is often far and straightforward. The last problem is transactions do not involve a direct cash exchange. It is necessary to value the instrument or part of the instrument issued to complete the required accounting treatment.
Next, I'll be presenting regarding the approaches used by the standard setter. There are 4 approaches used by the standard setter, which are improving the definition of liability, revisiting the component approach, enhancing the presentation and disclosure, and also using a mezzanine category. The first approach is improving the definition of liability. By using this approach, liability can be improved by adjusting the dividing line between liability and equity. It also makes the liability-equity distinction clearer by suggesting additional rules and guidance. According to Schmidt in 2013, those who create standards might not want to re-evaluate the dichotomous classification based on the presence of a contractual obligation. Standards have changed the boundaries between liabilities and equity. For an instance, they add or eliminate exceptions, but they have not come to a resolution or solutions that conceptually challenge the fundamental debt equity classification. It is unlikely that additional rules and directives that emphasize the liability-equity distinction will result in consistency and comparability in the classification of compound instruments. based on the standard charter's experience with IAS 32. It is uncertain that standard charter will come up with concepts for asset, liability and equity that are both broad enough to accommodate commercial diversity and specific enough to preclude transaction structuring. Next, by improving the separation of component, the separation of component can be improved by separating compound financial instrument into various constituent elements and measuring for valuation purposes, which involve model and also assumptions. The next approach is enhancing presentation and disclosure. Presentation and disclosure can be enhanced by doing research on the valuation of compound instruments and also valuing ordinary equity. The last approach is mezzanine category. Mezzanine category can be defined as a way for companies to gain funds for certain projects or to aid with an acquisition through a hybrid debt and equity financing. By using this category, it enhances the information to be available to the decision makers and make it easier for the user to understand the impact of the instruments on solvency risk, potential dilution of ordinary shareholders' returns. It can also diminish the complexity of accounting for compound instruments. That's all from me. Thank you.